Welcome back to Content Swap. You are joined by Parker and
Aaliyah.
And if this is your first time listening to Content Swap, this is a podcast in which the two of us exchange a piece of content every week, and then we talk about it at the end of the week. Facts, opinions, all that, and the like. And before we dive into the content, we like to provide a little life news update. Things that we've been up to in the past week. And let's just dive right into it. It's usually just ends up being us talk about, what new content we've engaged with for the week. Unless there's any, big life-changing events. So what's up with you? Oh, wow.
Rude.
That was my trash alarm. I apologize.
I feel like I'm breathing so hard. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't get picked up on the...
It's fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't even know. It's been a week. Election happened.
Oh.
That was wild. We won't get into it, but yeah, I feel like I can't even remember what content we engaged with because it's been a lot.
Well, we started watching a show. We started watching two shows.
Well, we've been watching This Is Us.
This Is Us.
Which I feel like we're super late to the This Is Us
I don't know.
bandwagon.
Yeah, it came out in 2016.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far as well. I think it's, as drama filled as a network TV show would be.
Yeah, it's a soap opera basically.
It's very soapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I refer to it as? Family trauma porn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say that word?
I think we've used that word before, so I'm gonna say it.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot in there, but I don't know. I like the storytelling, I guess. I like Sterling K. Brown.
Okay.
Situation.
All right, let's for those that don't have never seen This Is Us, we got to summarize it.
It's basically about three
family.
siblings.
Uh-huh.
You kind of follow each sibling and the things that they deal with, but you're also getting snippets about their birth and like how they came to be. So you're watching like their parents' story, and you kind of go back and forth in time to see what they're dealing with and then see what the parents dealt with back in the day. And yeah, there's Kevin, who is a actor. So he's like trying to learn how to be independent because he relies a lot on his sister in particular, whose name is Kate. So he's like trying to figure himself out, his identity, his everything. He's kind of annoying, but also like kind of entertaining. So yeah, there's Sterling K. Brown, who's like the most put together, I guess, but
He plays Randall.
he plays Randall. And his big thing is that like he's adopted, and so he finds his birth father and is kind of just navigating his relationship with his birth father and also his relationship with his adopted mom. And then there's Kate, and her thing is that she's trying to lose weight. It's really important to her, and so she's trying to kind of navigate a relationship with someone who maybe it's not as important to him.
She makes friends with, or sorry,
Right.
they start
They both
dating from
yeah.
attending a group.
Yeah.
It's all about losing weight.
But he's a little bit more kind of loosey-goosey, but also sees progresses more than she has.
I don't know. They brought that up in like one scene, so
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's like
I don't know if that's like an actual
thing.
plot point. Yeah,
but yeah, she's kind of insecure about it. Really wants to like be on track. Is kind of struggling with this relationship and what that means in terms of her progress and what she's able to do. And then also she's not seeing progress as fast as some of the other people are. So then like that's kind of discouraging. And so, yeah, that's her thing. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially the show.
That's essentially the show. Yeah, I mean, Mandy Moore plays their mom in the flashbacks, and Jess from Gilmore Girls plays the dad in the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And the flashbacks have just like a lot of, it's kind of painting a picture of what their childhood was like, and what each of their dynamics were like with their parents and
with each other.
And that's a pretty interesting concept. I would say like at the heart of the story for me right now is with Sterling K. Brown's character, and his like relationship with his father. The other two characters kind of have their own stuff going on, but I don't know. They just seem kind of small in comparison to his.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and even when you go back to like the childhood parts where it's like about their childhood, like Sterling K. Brown, I feel like a lot of the story so far at least, we're only on season 1 and there's
this
like
is like
million
six,
seasons.
There's like 6 seasons,
yeah,
and there's like 100+ episodes, and we're on episode like 11.
Yeah, but like so far it seemed to be a lot. It seems to be heavily focused on like how do you raise how do you have a multicultural household, and like these parents, their parents were not necessarily prepared for what it means to adopt a black child. And so like now they're kind of like facing things as it comes, and like realizing the importance of like him having people who look like him around, and like all these other things. And I love that piece of it. Like I think that's an interesting and important conversation to have. And
yeah,
I feel like
I'd agree.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people adopt, kids of all different cultural backgrounds from their own family. And I have definitely seen in real life people who have not considered what that means and do it anyway. And then it's like now they're confused as to why these things are coming up. So, yeah, I think it's just really interesting and fun and nice to watch.
Yeah. Totally.
Sometimes frustrating, but
yeah, I mean it's very much like built like a network TV show, in that there has to be conflict to sustain a whole season, and like there has to be conflict every episode to keep viewers coming back to watching it every single week. Whereas like a Netflix show now with like the streaming era would just be like, this show is going to be like 8 episodes, and it's going to be focused on like a consistent through line of like telling this like big long story. Whereas this is probably like they filmed the first 10 episodes and then started releasing it, and then they saw how it performed, and then they filmed the last 10 episodes of the season halfway into that, when they decided, yes, this is going to be a hit. They got a full season order. You can kind of tell with these network shows that they're kind of built like that, and that they're always built around and like the OC was kind of like this too, with like there will be a Thanksgiving episode, and then there will be a Christmas episode, and I kind of appreciate that. Like it's kind of fun when you're watching a show and it kind of is like going through the seasons of the year, just because shows always used to do that when they were on networks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I think of like Abbott Elementary, and I'm like, there's so few episodes for it to be like a network television show. There's so few episodes in a season. Like they only do like maybe 10 episodes a season, and it always feels like it goes by so fast, and I'm like, I want more. Like
yeah, but they also churn out their seasons pretty quickly.
They do. But it just, I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like enough.
I feel like, I just feel like we don't make television shows as quickly as we used to.
Yeah.
But also the quality of television shows has gone up. And I think that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so that was This Is Us. We're going to keep watching that and enjoying it. We'll probably get through all of it. It might take a few months, though.
Yeah.
We also started Fargo. We watched
right.
We watched the first episode last night. of the first season. Turns out this show has been around since like 2014.
That was a long episode. It felt like it was like
it was like
two
a whole
episodes.
movie.
I know.
Yeah, it was like an hour and 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And I think the original movie is only like, I don't know, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But first impressions of the first episode?
It's insane.
Yeah, it is pretty insane. I mean, do you want to keep watching it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool.
I
really
need to know what happens.
Yeah, I want to know what happens.
I need to know what happens. But it's like frustrating. It's like, though, you know those shows where there's like the characters just aren't cooperating, and it's just so frustrating, and it just makes you so angry.
Right, like
that
you
they're
just wish
doing
people
dumb
would use
stuff.
their words.
Yeah, they're just like doing dumb stuff, and you're like, what? Like the situation has escalated so much because you did this dumb thing
just so
that you
incompetent.
didn't have to do at all.
Yeah,
and like it's like that, and that's how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And also, I mean, spoiler, but like the best character in the season has already died in the first episode.
I mean, that's part of the point.
And that makes me sad. He was so nice.
They're building this idea that this is a tragic show.
Yeah.
This is, it's like Game of Thrones. Don't get too attached.
Okay, but I'm never attached to anybody in Game of Thrones.
Well, fair. And now I think what
they're
makes
all
this
terrible for the most part.
And what makes this work so well is that it's like, relatable, real human life. And they put that disclaimer at the beginning of the at the beginning of every episode that is just the same disclaimer from the movie, which is to say, like, all of this is based on true events and out of the respect for the dead. Or what was it? Out of respect for the living, we've changed everybody's names, and out of respect for the dead, the rest of the events have been told exactly as they happened. But
isn't it a joke that it's not?
Yeah, it's fake. Yeah. That was a thing in the movie, was that they put that in, but it wasn't actually true. And I'm pretty sure the show's doing the same thing. Otherwise, if it's true, which it shouldn't be, but if it is, crazy.
Yeah. This is too absurd for it to be true.
It's to get the audience bought into the whole thing, going like, whoa.
I'm just saying, they could have spared him at least till episode 2. Like, my God.
The character that you liked.
The character that I liked, yeah.
Nope, sorry. This is not that kind of show. Anyway. So you want to keep watching it?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm very excited for that. Well, what else? What other content have we engaged with, or have you engaged with? You watch any movies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I played a little bit of Silent Hill 2 on election night, and I streamed from the Content Swap YouTube account, and some of my friends actually watched, which was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I would maybe consider doing that again.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was kind of nice.
Is it still up there?
Yeah, you can watch it. It's an hour and a half. It's scary though.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
It was cool because a lot of my friends were like finishing up their workday because they live on the West Coast, but it was dark at night for me because I'm on the East Coast. So they were like, "Oh, I'll watch this while I'm finishing work." So that like worked out really well. And I think a lot of people were just very invested in the election that night. So they needed a little... I mean, I titled the video, like, Escaping from Real Life Horror, or Playing Silent Hill 2 to Escape from Real Life Horror, Election Night 2024. Anyway, that was fun. I started playing... Last week I mentioned that I played like 15 minutes of Shenmue, which is a video game, a very old, like 1999 video game. And that I was like super into the vibe, and that I couldn't wait to like keep playing it, but I was probably going to wait to play it. Well, the vibe just kind of like kept sitting in my head, and I needed to see more. And now it's just kind of like the main game that I'm playing right now. It's like every moment of free time I have, I'm playing Shenmue, and it is very old, but it's very... I don't even know if I can necessarily call it like fun in how playing video games is typically fun. I find it fun because I'm like analyzing it from like how it was designed and how it was made and what it was doing that was revolutionary at the time, which is like a lot. It was actually considered it was the most expensive video game ever produced when it came out, which I did not know. That's crazy. But it was like one of the first games to have like 3D facial animation in it, and it's like it had an open world before Grand Theft Auto 3 had an open world, which Grand Theft Auto 3 is kind of credited as like popularizing open world games. But yeah, Shenmue was kind of like the first game to do it before that. And it's fun because you're like solving this mystery of what happened to your father, or like of who killed your dad and why at the beginning of the game. And there's the music is really good, but there's this English dub in the game that is just like so atrociously bad. It's like I don't know who they hired to do the voice acting for this game or who the voice director was, or like you can just kind of tell that it's like people reading from a script, and the script is like is a little bit of nonsense. So you never know what kind of line delivery you're gonna get every single time a character opens their mouth. Even the main character is super inconsistent. There's a line where some like gang members were beating a guy up, and you go to save the guy, and you find out that the gang members were blackmailing this guy, and the main character goes, "Hey, don't you know blackmail is like way uncool?" And it's like not fitting with his personality at all. And like the game is just filled with moments like that. So it's very funny, but it's not trying to be funny. But it's kind of charming because it's like so funny. But then you can kind of like observe the rest of the things that the game is trying to do and appreciate them, because games just weren't made like that leading up to that. And in some cases, it does things that like games would never bother doing now, like making the game like on a schedule where like the characters have a schedule every single day that they carry out, and so like you need to be at certain places at certain times, which is pretty cool, except for when you're told like be at this place at 3 p.m. Be at this place at 3 p.m. and you can't skip. Like modern games would skip to, allow you to just hit like skip to 3 p.m. This game is like, no, you have to wait to 3 p.m. So you just find ways to kill the time in the game. Sometimes I just leave the character sitting there and I play Balatro on my phone. And yeah, you have to wait till 3 p.m. And like a couple of times you'll get to 3 p.m. and then you'll like play through the cutscene, and then it'll be like, all right, like now meet me here at this place tomorrow at noon. And you're like, crap, now I gotta kill time until noon tomorrow. And I mean, there's a smorgasbord of different activities to do in the game, but there's not like that many to kill the time. But I don't know, it's just kind of like, because of that, because you can't skip time, you get very immersed in everything that's going on in the game. So you get very immersed in all the different characters and just like what they're up to every single day. And I really appreciate that. Like for me, it feels like a cozy game that's made for me because it forces me to slow down and not be so focused on jumping to the next objective as quickly as possible, because it literally won't let me. Like I have to be patient. So I just kind of find myself spending time doing the things that just don't mean anything or aren't important. And that's kind of surprisingly like a positive thing for me to experience. So I like that aspect of it a lot, despite the fact that I would never design a game to be that way. But, I could appreciate it for what it is. Anyway, I plan to finish it. Excuse me. I still have this cough. I plan to finish it, and at some point in the future, I will play Shenmue 2. I don't know when, but at some point. That's all I got to say about Shenmue. But that's the main game that I'm playing right now. Any other content we got going on?
No, not that I can think of.
We haven't been to the movies. We've been wanting to go to the movies.
I know.
We want to see Nora. We want to see the Wild Robot. We might end up renting the Wild Robot.
Yeah. I feel like we just got so... After the wedding, we were so burnt out.
I know. It's just like too much going on.
Yeah. We've just been crashing at home.
Yeah. Well, I want to go see Nora.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to just dive into the assignments then?
Sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, so first up, we have my assignment to you, which was...
Starship Troopers, which came out in 1997. I keep calling it Stormtroopers. I was like on the phone with my mom the other day. She was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we're watching a Stormtrooper Trooper something Stars Trooper movie." She was like, "Okay." But anyway, so in this movie, the world is basically like governed by a military agency called the United Citizen Federation, whose sole purpose is to train people to become citizens, and dedicate basically their lives to fighting these like intergalactic bugs. But, sorry, no but. Most of the youth, so like, I guess you go through high school and at that point you decide, do you want to go to college? Do you want to become a citizen? Like, what do you want to do? And most youth want to become citizens because it grants them rights that civilians, which is what they call non-citizens, don't have. So like, for example, there's a scene in the movie where everyone's kind of saying why they enroll to become a citizen, and one girl says, "I want to be a mom, and I can't be a mom unless I, kind of serve my time as a citizen, and then I'm allowed to have kids," which is like insane. So anyways, so we in this story follow a particular guy named Johnny Rico, who is determined to become a citizen and impress his girlfriend, who's played by Denise Richards. And I'm gonna like sum up this movie very quickly.
Go for it. Yeah.
Basically, over the course of the movie, after making some mistakes, getting dumped by Denise Richards, and losing a lot of friends to like the horrors of war, Rico proves himself to be a great leader and helps successfully defeat the bugs, or like capture the big brain bug who I guess is controlling all the other bugs. And that's really the movie. So a few things. I think what makes this movie stand out is that there's these moments throughout the entire movie where you watch these like broadcastings of basically like military propaganda. That's just absurd. Like, it's like kids being given these massive guns. They're like squashing bugs. And their mom is like, "Yay, like
I'm doing my part."
Yeah, it's just like these absurd commercials essentially, and you are constantly being interrupted in the movie by these, they'll show like maybe like 4 at a time, like different clips of like, here's what we're doing to make the world a better place,
contribute to the war effort.
Yeah. So that's something. And my thought going into this movie, and I was listening to our last week's episode, which I'm glad I did, because in our last week's episode, I asked you, I said, is this like Galaxy Quest? Because that's, I don't know, seeing the image of this movie, that's what I always thought. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was supposed to be like this like super silly, like funny, kind of Galaxy Quest-esque movie.
See, in my head, it is like that, but they're
very different.
Different definitions of all those words you just used.
Yeah. So I don't see it anything like Galaxy Quest. I see it more as a like, well, I mean, I guess in a sense, yes, there is sort of a connection, but it's a very like self-aware, exaggerated depiction of like real life things. And so that in and of itself makes it like implicitly funny, but it's not explicitly funny. Like I didn't laugh out loud really in any like at any point during the movie.
It's a satire.
Yeah, but like Galaxy Quest, it's like it's so silly you're like laughing out loud.
Yeah,
you know?
That's different. This is like that's like silly in like the proper term silly.
Yeah.
This is like silly in that it's I don't know, like dark humor satire, like
yeah, but that's not what I thought it was
like
gonna be.
characters like yelling like war phrases at each other, like don't be a hero.
It's just a
and
lot.
It's like supposed to be it's supposed to be like equal parts like macho, like I kind of love this, but also equal parts like, but this is also stupid.
I don't know if I had the I kind of love this.
Well, that's
feeling,
that's what I had. I had that feeling.
But yeah, I mean, I will say
it's like stupid on purpose.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I think it was way longer than it needed to be. Because towards the tail end, it gets repetitive.
End,
yeah, it starts to get repetitive. They just keep fighting bugs and people keep dying. So I think they could have cut it a little bit short. But I mean, overall, I thought it wasn't a bad movie. Like
That's good.
Enjoyed watching it. I did fall asleep at the end. So you had kind of like let me know what happened in the last 15 minutes.
It was like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, but yeah, now would I watch this again or watch apparently there's a bunch of others?
Well, I would never watch the sequels.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm not watching any sequels. I don't know that I would watch this again either. Like I think seeing it the one time was enough.
That's fair.
And yeah, now I'll just have some knowledge whenever someone brings up
Starship Troopers.
I almost called it Stormtroopers.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Disney's going to be like, no. The Starship Troopers movie, I'll be like, oh, I've seen that.
So, yeah, I mean the whole movie is really like it's a satire. It's like neo-fascism. It's like if fascism really encapsulated our entire society and drove our existence. That's like meant to be the point. And when the movie came out in 1997, a lot of people like just didn't get it. They thought it was like, for lunks, like for, just another bang, bang, bang movie. That was like that people just didn't get the joke. And I think we can recognize the joke because this movie feels like so ahead of its time, like almost kind of predicting it was like sending a warning of a specific direction we could head in as a society that we have somewhat moved towards on our own. So I think that 26 years later, 27 years later, we can look at this movie and like get that it's a joke. Mm-hmm. But in 1997, that was not really the case.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. I mean, I can understand why people didn't get the joke. Because like I said, it's so, I don't know, like, I keep going back to the word implicit. I don't know if that's the best word, but
like, yeah, it really feels like it's like part of the, like I saw there was like a headline for a review that somebody wrote on IMDb that was like, it's as smart as you allow it to be, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of your own cognition and like awareness and just like, I don't know. I think it takes a lot. The audience member has
you have to be like
put
pretty.
in a lot.
You have to be like pretty well educated to like get it. Yeah. Because you have to be like read up on world history and understand like a kid could watch this movie and just think like, oh, cool, yeah, kill bugs.
Yeah.
But like an adult, which like it's made for adults, it's a very rated R movie, can watch this and be like, oh, I get it. Like it's doing a commentary on like we would not want this. I read that Paul Verhoeven, the film's director, was asked, like, since he grew up in like Nazi occupied the Netherlands, and he was asked, like, why would you want to make this movie, and like, why would you want to make a movie about like fascism? And he was like, well, like, why would you want to make a movie that's like glorifying fascism? And he's like, well, if I just made a movie that's kind of telling people like fascism's bad, then nobody would be very interested in it. But if I show them this like perfect fascist society, they can look at it and compare it with our world and see for themselves what's wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
The movie did not perform very commercially well, however.
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
It opened to $22 million in its opening weekend. The budget was about $105 million. Worldwide, it made about $121 million. They apparently, the studio just didn't know what to do with it. But apparently, the English understood the movie because the posters for the movie in England had like stupid lines about war from the movie, and Paul Verhoeven said like, "Oh, finally somebody understands like how you're supposed to be promoting this movie." But yeah, there was just like bad word of mouth of people not understanding it, and so it just didn't do well at the box office. And like people, I guess, were expecting Star Wars. And the trivia that I'm reading says people felt like they got that, but not really, because it was basically saying, here are your heroes and heroines, but by the way, they're fascists. So yeah, people didn't gel very well with people. I remember I told my oldest brother Tyler that I had watched this movie, and I was like, that movie was wild, and he was like, that's the dumbest movie I've ever seen. He does not like Starship Troopers.
That's fair.
I mean, there's just like just the fact that these like characters grew up in like Buenos Aires in Argentina, in and of itself is just like so different, because it's like these like white characters living in South America, but it's like intergalactic travel and whatnot. But the theory is that, if like the Nazis that occupied Argentina, like multiple generations later, it would be like white kids in Argentina. Excuse me. Let's see here. What else? Nominated for Best Visual Effects. And it lost that year to Titanic.
At the Oscars?
At the Oscars, yeah.
I will say,
the visual effects were great.
Yeah, the bugs, that was the very first thing I feel like I said when we were watching the movie. I was like, wow, I'm super impressed by how like great these bugs look.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
But it deserved to lose to Titanic. In my opinion.
Every movie deserves to lose to Titanic.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, they had the I read that some of the shots of the bugs got so complicated that it took originally it took them 32 hours to render a single frame.
Wow.
But they developed an algorithm to make processing a little bit easier, and they got it down to 18 hours per frame, which is like half, but still a long time.
Yeah.
The movie employed 1,400 extras. Thought that was a lot. Yeah.
How do you know you spent too much time together?
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg apparently turned down the role of playing Johnny Rico Johnny Rico is
Good
played
on
by
him.
Casper Van Dien, who says this is his favorite role he's ever done. It's also the only role that people know him for. He says that not a week has gone by in his life since he played this role that people on the street haven't been like, "Hey, Johnny Rico." So good for him. He told this story in an interview in 2016 where, to paraphrase, basically he was picking up his daughters from school, and as he drove up to get them, there was like some there was like some boys that were hanging out with his daughters, and the boys said, "Johnny Rico, why didn't you tell us your dad was Johnny Rico?" And he said to the boys, "What are you guys doing watching Starship Troopers?" And the kids said that their dads made them watch it. Then his daughters got in the car and they said, "Dad, were you really naked in Starship Troopers?" And he said, "Yeah." And she said, "How could you do that to me?" Then his 8-year-old says, "Wait, like naked? And he said, "Yup." And she said, "Oh my God, my life is ruined." And he said that was the longest 3-minute ride home he'd ever had in his life.
At first I was like, when was he naked? But I forget that whole like shower scene.
So famously infamously, there is a shower scene in this movie where all of the like soldiers that are in boot camp are showering together, and it's like men and women equally together. And Paul Verhoeven explained that he put the scene in the movie to show that, for all of this society's flaws, that their army was completely gender and racially neutral, and that there were just like women and people of color in high rank with no issue, and and that it extends to the point where they're all showering together, and that, likely in this world of fascism that they just have no libido and they're too preoccupied with like the military in their careers to be even like thinking about nudity.
So when we were watching that scene, that was like one of the things that I noticed. I was like, oh, it's kind of nice that like, none of the guys are like sexualizing the women, or like the women sexualizing the men. Like everyone's just having a normal conversation while showering.
Yeah,
and like it's no big deal.
You mentioned like, oh, there's like a scene where they talk about why they joined the military, and a woman said she wanted to have babies. That was
during
the
that
scene.
scene, yeah.
Everybody's naked in the shower just talking about it all casually.
Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven said that it was difficult to include it, and he said like it was pretty strange because Americans just got so much more upset about nudity than ultra violence in the movie.
Like the actual point of the movie. Yeah. I mean, doesn't surprise me.
He said a bare breast is more difficult to get through the censors than a body riddled with bullets.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Another interesting thing about that scene is that they kind of like they had kind of a skeleton crew working that day, and they were gonna film it, and the cast was reluctant to take their clothes off, and Paul Verhoeven asked them what the big deal was, and one of the actors said, "Paul, if it's no big deal, why don't you do it?" And so him and the cinematographer, they were like, "All right." So Paul Verhoeven and the cinematographer like stripped down and got naked with the rest of with all the actors, and they just filmed it with no problems.
Wow.
Yeah, solidarity. Thought that was a pretty interesting fact.
Wild.
Let's see. Paul Verhoeven said it was his favorite movie of his own. If you're not familiar with the works of Paul Verhoeven, he did RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, movies that feel like that. Let's see. Total body count in this movie, 256. This movie's wild because, like...
Sorry.
Babies kicking?
Yeah, it was a big one. I saw it, and it was really fun.
Yeah. My buddy Lucas Lucas, unsurprisingly, loves this movie. And he always talks about how he loves that the movie spends all this time building up your relationship to the characters and the boot camp, and like making them think like, yeah, they have what it takes to get the job done. Like they're gonna go annihilate the aliens, like hoorah! And you're feeling all great and confident, and then they finally land down on the alien planet and just get wrecked. And like half of the characters that you just spent the last like 40 minutes getting attached to just decimated. And I think by the end of the movie, Ace is the only character left besides Johnny Rico from like that original troop of people. They all just get like taken out. But I think that's kind of like part of why I like this movie so much, is because it feels like there's like a genuine like arc for each of the different characters. Like from beginning, the characters grow so much over the course of the movie, because like Johnny Rico is like a football player in high school, and then by the end of the movie he's like a sergeant in the military because he gets promoted like 5 times in the movie.
Yeah, because everyone keeps dying.
Everybody keeps dying, so he just keeps getting promoted. But like you think Ace is kind of like
who is Ace?
Ace was Jake Busey, Gary Busey's son with the teeth. You think Ace is gonna be kind of like a mean guy at the beginning of the movie, but then by the end of the movie, I'm like, I love Ace. Ace is great. He can tear it up on the fiddle or the violin.
On the fiddle?
I don't know. What's the difference between a violin and a fiddle?
I don't know.
Well, then it's a fiddle.
It's just I feel like people don't say the word fiddle often.
I don't know. It's like the devil went down to Georgia. It's about fiddling.
Yeah, that's a different sound than a violin, though.
Let's see. More ammunition was used in this film than any other previous movie. The crew expended over 300,000 blank. What did I just say? 300,000 blank rounds during the course of filming, which was a record at the time. You commented at the beginning of the movie when they were all in high school, you were like, they are all way too old to be in high school. Well, Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, who played Dizzy in the movie, and Patrick Muldoon, who played Xander, were all 29 when they made the movie. So
yeah, especially Dizzy. I was like, that's a grown woman. What is she doing as a high schooler?
Excuse me. Yeah, so at the beginning, this is to my earlier point about how the characters grow. At the beginning of the movie, you were like, oh, I don't like this girl, about Dizzy. Mm-hmm. And how did you feel her over the course of the movie?
I still didn't quite like her, to be honest. I mean, I just like, she was just like so obsessed with this guy.
Johnny Rico.
Yeah, obsessed with Johnny Rico. And I was like, girl, you could do better. Like he is not checking for you. Cut it.
So, okay.
And that was just driving me nuts. And then like at the end, he like gets with like right after Denise Richards dumps him. He's like, oh, all right, I guess I'll be with you. And then they like hook up and then she dies. And I was like, she could have had a way better life than this. I hated that.
Yeah. So yeah, Johnny Rico is dating Denise Richards, but then Dizzy really likes him and they're in high school. But then he and Dizzy go into the mobile infantry, and then Denise Richards becomes a pilot and she starts potentially dating this guy Xander. Mm-hmm. Apparently in test screenings, her and Xander's relationship was like much more defined, but the audience like really hated, the test audiences really hated her character for like
Denise Richards.
Yeah, for like switching between men so easily. Mm-hmm. So they like had to re-edit the movie to like downplay the explicitness of their relationship despite being implied.
Mm-hmm. Between her and Rico.
between her and Xander, the guy that she like,
gotcha.
because Xander also became a pilot. So like Xander was like, he was like on the rival football team during the football game at the beginning of the movie and was kind of like flirting with her. And Johnny was like, stop flirting with my girlfriend. But then like him and Dizzy went into the mobile infantry, and then Denise Richards and Xander went and became pilots. So their relationships just kind of like formed, like split and formed naturally on their own.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect of the movie. Kind of like, you know, this idea of like the characters start in this one spot, but then they kind of go their own way, but then reconnect down the line, and they're changed and they're different. Like there's, you know, growth in the experiences that they've had. And then there's kind of like the long distance high school relationship, and then they break up, and it's like, you know, kind of this lesson of like, yeah, maybe that was for the best. And
yeah, I mean, I wasn't upset about that. That all makes sense because, you know, you go off to college, everyone goes to different colleges or whatever, and like real life. And
I never said you were upset about anything.
No, but I'm just saying, like, it didn't make me like
Dizzy's character.
And I don't want to say I disliked her character.
She really grew on me. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, at the start, I really disliked her character. I was like indifferent to her by the end. Like I didn't like her, but I didn't dislike her. I just thought, I don't know. I just was like, so, I don't know. Something about when women are depicted just like puppies for a man. Like when it's just like they can't get over this one person, and they're going, especially at the beginning, she was like going out of her way to like be like, love me, you know? And it frustrates me so much.
So for all of the gender neutrality in this movie, they didn't get the depiction of Dizzy right for you.
I guess. I just like, I wish that wasn't her only thing, was to like be with him, you know? And that's what it felt like. It felt like,
you're totally.
Yeah. And I'm just like, for such a strong character as she was.
Yeah, she was a great character.
Yeah. It just like that, like
her whole thing was like,
her. Yeah.
I want to be with Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just to like be his seconds, you know?
Right.
Like that just felt so wrong.
And then get killed immediately after.
Literally. I'm like, what the heck?
Rough.
I'm like, I wanted more for this girl. And I hate what we did with it.
Well, that's fair. I still maintain that she grew on me, though. Because at the beginning, they kind of make her out to be like, I don't know, she's going to be like the bully girl or whatever. But then by the end, you're like, oh, like, Johnny really should have been with Dizzy. And Johnny's the doofus. But
I mean, I didn't see her to be a bully, like a bully.
I mean,
she was just very like...
It was... Not like, I don't know, like making this first impression and then subverting your expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other factoid, the battle gear that they wear in this movie was reused in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which I realized that it was familiar. It's like from the first episode of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I'm like, oh my god, they're literally wearing the equipment from Starship Troopers. What else do I have in here? Apparently, when Paul Verhoeven was making the movie, him and the screenwriter just had like total freedom in making the movie because the management at Sony kept changing. So like it just kind of slipped through the net. And by the time anybody at the studio saw footage of the movie, he'd already like finished the rough cut of the movie, which is like wild. Let's see.
A lot of facts.
Well, I think this is going to be my final fact. Well, no, okay, a couple of final facts.
That's not a final fact if there's a couple.
Touche. Maybe like 3 more facts.
Okay, freaking, what's the anime we like? Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. Oh, yeah. The final
season.
Final
season.
The final season, part 1. The final season, part 3, the end, part 2.
That's literally you with your facts.
So the movie has some pretty famous fans in Martin Scorsese, Joel and Ethan Coen, the Coen brothers, directors of the movie Fargo, Oliver Stone, and former President of the United States of America, Bill Clinton.
Bill.
Let's see. Other fact in here. Oh, no, this is going to be my last fact. During military training, they do a live ammunition exercise, live rounds. So they're like shooting with real bullets, and an accident happens, and one of the soldiers under Johnny's platoon trips and shoots her gun and kills one of the other soldiers in his platoon. And he ends up like he almost ends up leaving the army, but decides not to, or the military decides not to. But fun fact, the actors, the woman who accidentally shot the man, they met on this movie and are now married and have a child.
Wow.
Yep.
That scene was so frustrating.
Is another case of people not communicating and...
No, it was Johnny Rico being an idiot. Why would you have him take off his helmet during the live
ammunition exercise?
I was like, are you stupid? He deserved to be kicked out. He came back, but
he came back.
He was like not even kicked out. He was
turned
like,
the tide of the war.
They considered kicking him out.
They considered kicking him out, and then he was like, "I'm gonna kick myself out." But then they were like, but then his parents like got killed by a meteorite, and Buenos Aires got wiped off the map, and then he was like, "Okay."
And all of that happened in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
He was like, I'm going back into the war. But they were like, you already signed this thing. And he was like, my family died. And they're like, all right, you know what? This document doesn't exist. And they tore it up.
Ridiculous.
Anyway, this is a great movie. I think this movie's got it all. Satire. It's very intelligent. But it's got the, it's got the shoot, bang, bang if you're into that too. But then it's got the character development. It's got the coming of age. I don't know. I think in its own way, this movie is like a masterpiece for what it's trying to do.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
Well, shall we move on?
Yep. To another equally absurd movie.
Yeah, I don't. So, like, is the theme of this week like? I don't know. Like. So, okay. maybe I can go through this movie. We can talk about what the theme is. But like, I feel like the theme of this week was kind of like seeing how the other half lives and thinks to a degree. Mm-hmm. So like, the movie that I got assigned, Where the Heart is very like, telling the story of Oklahoma-like experiences. Not to homogenize all of Oklahoma. How do I say this? Like, I'm trying to find like a politically correct word. Just like poor people in Middle America. Mm-hmm. That's like, which primarily like poor white people in Middle America, and that's like Where the Heart is kind of feels like. It's kind of like depicting like that a story within that space. Mm-hmm. And then meanwhile like Starship Troopers is kind of like far right military satire. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like with the election having happened last week, it kind of feels like, I don't know. Yeah, getting exposure to the other side of the fence. Mm. That's my unofficial theme of the episode.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so Where the Heart is, what this movie is about is Natalie Portman has a Walmart baby. I mean, like, that's what you said last week when you signed it. But
there's much more to it than that.
But that's
yes,
like,
that's the
when you said that, I was like, why does she call it a Walmart baby? Like, so she has a baby at a Walmart. Why are we calling it a Walmart baby? But in the movie, she has her baby at the Walmart, and she gets plastered on the news, and they're like, the Walmart baby.
The Walmart baby.
Yeah.
Because, like, that would happen. If someone gave birth at, like, freaking Target, it'd be like, Target baby. It's like the official mascot of Target now.
Yep. So her character is pregnant at the beginning of the movie, and they live in Oklahoma or Tennessee. Yeah, they live in Tennessee, and her baby daddy decide they're gonna leave and hit the road to find a different place to live. And
they're headed to California.
They're headed to California, and they stop in Oklahoma, and she has to go into Walmart because she's pregnant and needs to use the bathroom, and then he just leaves her there. But so she's got no money, and this movie was made in 2000, I think. Mm-hmm. So she has no cell phone. It's just like her pregnant, and she decides to sleep at the Walmart secretly, without, under everybody's nose, and she's there for like 6 weeks. And at one point,
it's a long time.
It is a long time. At one point, she like, okay, wait. I need to clarify a couple of things. She doesn't like fives, which the movie forgets about halfway through the movie. But they make a point of pointing out that she doesn't like fives because when she was 5 years old, her mom left her for some guy. And when she goes to Walmart to use the bathroom, her change, when she buys something, is $5.55. And when she's told that, she freaks out and runs outside to find her boyfriend to find out that he left her. And later in the movie, I'll get to that. I will get to that. Anyway, yeah, so he leaves her there, and she stays there for like 6 weeks. But, like, it's cool because he goes to jail, like, immediately because he steals from 7-Eleven. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, this man's getting punished because he's just doing stupid things.
Well, he didn't steal from 7-Eleven. He picked up a girl who stole from 7-Eleven.
Oh.
And then they pull him over, and then they're like, by the way, that girl's 14, so you're 14. Getting arrested.
Yeah. Oh. Well, don't pick up hitchhikers, folks. Okay, her being in Walmart, I was thinking, like, what does the Walton family, the owners of Walmart, think of this movie? Like, is this free advertising for Walmart? Like, is Walmart like...
I mean, they filmed at an actual Walmart.
Right.
So I'm sure they had to get permission.
Is Walmart like, woo, yeah, we love that Natalie Portman movie?
I mean, it's not bad publicity for them.
All right, that's true.
It's like, someone had a baby at a Walmart.
That's true.
Cool. And it happens to be Natalie Portman.
That's true. Who doesn't love Natalie Portman?
Yeah.
So, while she's like at the Walmart, she stops at the library to like gain some information on some plants, because this really nice woman gave her a plant, and the woman...
Her name is Sister Husband. She goes by Sister.
Okay.
Her name is Thelma. Husband.
Yeah, her name is Thelma, but she goes by Sister Husband. Goodness.
Which, like, that's the joke. Is like...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's weird. And when she talks to Natalie Portman her first day at the Walmart, thinking that she's like some other woman that she knows, but she's not. And that was a weird interaction. But she gives her this like plant for good luck. So while she's living at the Walmart and she's got this plant, she goes to the library to learn how to take care of the plant, where she meets this guy Forney, who is at the library all the time. So anyway, when she finally has to give birth, okay, this is like such a weird sequence of events. She Forney like catches her going into the Walmart late at night, and it just so happens to be the night where her water breaks and she's like struggling, and Forney, the librarian, like he's in a Linkin Park music video, crashes through the window of the Walmart. Like,
yeah, that's probably like the craziest
that
thing
is
in the movie.
craziest thing in the movie.
And it makes no sense how he would have known that, like, because
you
that
cannot
Walmart's so
see,
big,
it's so big.
you wouldn't see her, you wouldn't hear her, you wouldn't, like, nothing.
Yeah, there's no way he would have been able to tell that she was about to go into labor.
Yeah.
And it's not like he threw a rock at the window before jumping into it. He just goes head first. No, like whole body. Like he hits that thing parallel and just crashes through it. And it is like, what the hell? And it just cuts. You don't get to see her give birth or anything. It cuts, it fades to black. And then she wakes up in the hospital and she's being told that she had a Walmart baby and that the news wants to talk to her.
Yeah. That is crazy.
So she names...
I have to pee, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. So, by the way, Natalie Portman's character, her name is Nova Lee Nation. And she names her child Americus. And her daughter, Americus Nation. Because Keith David told her to give that baby a strong name. And Keith David was helping her out with cameras at the Walmart the first day that she was there. So while she's at the hospital waiting to get discharged, her mom shows up because her mom saw her on the news. And Walmart had sent her $500 and says that she can have a job at any Walmart in the nation. But she gives her mom the $500 to help them find a place to live. And her mom's also played by Sally Field. Love Sally Field. And her mom is like, yeah, I'm going to help you find a place to live. And then her mom just takes off with the money. Never to be seen again. Sally Field, she's there, and then she's gone. So Nova Lee, Natalie Portman, goes to live with the friendly neighborhood lady from earlier in the movie. And she starts working at Walmart. And people just kind of like gave her a lot of stuff off screen, including Keith David. He gave her a camera, and she gets really into cameras. And the neighborhood lady and her husband are just they say grace and they pray and ask God for forgiveness. But every single time they ask for forgiveness, they are asking for forgiveness for having sex. And sometimes she's like, they're at the dinner table and she's like, please God, give us forgiveness for the sex we had on this table this morning. The fornication, my bad. And that was just kind of silly, but also like wild. And then like, so Nova Lee, she like takes her car to the mechanic, and hey, guess what? The mechanic's kind of cute. And immediately, like the next scene, she's like, I think I'm pregnant, which she's not. But I was like, girl, get it together. But meanwhile, Forney, the librarian, turns out he's not the librarian. He's the librarian's sister, because his sister lives above the library, and she's the real librarian. And she's also alcoholic, along with dealing with some probably very intense mental health issues. But he and Natalie Portman become friends, and it turns out they're hanging out, and he's like, oh, hey, Americus is 5 months old today. And she's like, 5? And he's like, yeah, born on July 5th. And she freaks out. She hears 5, and she's like, oh, no. And she drives back home. Turns out the baby got stolen by some people who wanted to spread the word of Jesus. And, like, goodness gracious. So yeah, they wanted to give the word of God to the Wal-Mart baby, and then they came from Mississippi and they kidnapped her baby, thinking it would be an abomination. And they ended up finding her baby alive and well at a christening. Is that what that's called? At the
Yeah, the like oh my gosh.
It's the thing that they set up for like Jesus's birth around the holidays, whatever you call that.
The oh my gosh, why is it escaping me? Pregnancy brain.
The first birthday, the coming of Jesus, the
nativity, like
nativity. The nativity, yeah. The nativity. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, she finds the baby in where baby Jesus would be at a nativity. In the cradle. Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend, he went to jail, but we're not done with him. He is now out of jail, and he's trying to make it as a musician with an acoustic guitar, and the agent, played by Joan Cusack, loves him and gives him a makeover. So he starts playing at bars where insane brawls happen, and then 3 years go by. And his song plays on the radio, and Americus happens to be listening to it and like singing along to it. And Nova Lee's like, I don't know, something about that man's voice rubs me the wrong way, 'cause she doesn't know that it's her ex-boyfriend, right? And now she photographs weddings because it's 3 years later. But one day, tornado warning, and then I said, are fives involved? That's why I wrote that down. I was like, tornado warning. Are fives involved? Maybe not this time. I don't think fives were involved, but sister husband passes away due to this Walmart brand Twister scene.
Yeah, it was pretty bad looking.
Yeah. Get it? Walmart brand? Anyway, meanwhile, Forney, the librarian, but not the librarian, seems to be having some feelings for Nova Lee. And sister husband left her the estate, land, life insurance, all that. So now she has $41,000, which I guess equates to like $3.2 million in California money, because she builds herself a new home. And then her ex-boyfriend is still playing shows, having issues with his manager. But there's just like some other scenes. Like she has this friend. I don't remember the friend's name, but she has a lot of kids and multiple baby daddies. Lexi. And Lexi has multiple baby daddies. And one day, Nova Lee gets a call from one of Lexi's kids. Turns out this new man she's been seeing might be a bad dude, kind of beat the crap out of her, kind of maybe did some questionable things with her children, and now she can't afford to pay the rent, so she moves in with Nova Lee at her nice home that she built for $41,000. And then Forney's sister passes away from alcoholism, I guess, and Nova Lee consoles him with a smooch, which, not the right time to do that. And they have an intimate scene together where their hands touch and their fingers cross, and so you know dirty things are maybe happening. And he leaves for a few days to kind of like put his sister in the family plot. And Natalie Portman kind of overhears like, that might be good for Forney, because he was only sticking around so that he could take care of his sister, and that was like a decade ago. So it might be good for him to move on with his life and go back to college. And so Nova Lee goes to him, and she tells him she does not love him, even though she does, because he is all like, I love you, I want to be with you, I'm going to get a job at the plastics factory. And she's like, don't get a job at the plastics factory, go have a real job. As a college man, you're too good for me. And then her friend Lexi marries Ernie the Exterminator, who's a very kind man. Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend, what's his name? Willie Jack, the musician, Turns out he ruined his career. Now he's all hopped up on pills and whiskey, and he accidentally gets run over by a train, and he loses his legs. Whoa, what a turn of events. And then it's been 4 months, and somebody stole his wheelchair, and Nova Lee goes to check on him at the hospital. And it's been, I guess, 5 years since they last saw each other. He's at rock bottom, and he tells her he could feel... Oh my God, I forgot about this. So at the beginning of the movie, she's pregnant, and she could feel the baby kicking. And she says, can you feel the baby? And she puts his hand on her pregnant belly. And she's like, do you feel the kick? That's where the heart is. Boom, title of the movie, right? And at the time, he's like, no, I can't feel it. But then, it's been 5 years. Now he's in the hospital, no legs, not even a wheelchair, just struggling. And he's like, I lied. I could tell that's where the heart was. And so I guess he's redeemed now that he's gone through a ton or something. She drives him back to Tennessee. She realizes she loves Forney. She goes to his college. She tells him that she lied. They smooch. And then they get married at Walmart. The end. Roll credits. So, yeah. This is a very, feel-good movie, but filled with lots of tragic moments.
Yeah.
And that's my impression of this absolutely insane movie. This movie was crazy. So much weird stuff happened in this movie. Explain.
I mean, yeah. But at the same time, too, I think some of the things that you think are weird are also just a part of small town living and aren't necessarily weird to me.
It's just there's not... It doesn't feel like there's kind of a consistent plot other than she has the Walmart baby, and then she figures out how to make it on her own, and then she wants to have her man. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the plot of the movie. Mm-hmm. And along the way, all of this stuff that doesn't exactly drive that specific plot forward, mm-hmm. but I guess is just kind of part of the flavor of the town. Is what happens.
I think the through line of it all is finding community and supporting one another through the craziness that happens in life, which I feel is such an important thing in small towns. I think of where my grandma has lived most of her life. It's a really, really small town, and so Walmart was kind of the social place because,
right.
Everyone needs their groceries. It's the only grocery store. And so then I remember we would go to Walmart and my grandma had to look good for Walmart. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because you're going to run, I'm going to run into everybody I know. And we would go to Walmart and I'm walking down the aisle and some stranger comes up to me. They're like, you're Shirley's granddaughter. And I'm like, who are you? That's just how things are. And I feel in small towns. And so I feel while yes, this movie is focused on Nova Lee and just her development over time, I think she's also kind of a side character to this idea of people coming through for you, people having your back, people taking you in, you taking in other people when they're going through their own thing. So I think that's kind of the main character, the main plot, I guess, of the movie.
I see it. Still doesn't explain why Forney jumped through the window.
I mean, yes, obviously there's a lot of drama in the sense of the tornado coming through, and then Forney jumping through the Walmart glass.
The editing in this movie is a little insane.
Yeah, it's very jarring.
Yeah,
it's you're good 1 minute and then boom, another tragedy, and you're like, whoa. Yeah, I understand the why you're that's absurd. But I think if you allow yourself to just kind of go with the flow.
I mean, it happened in the first 20 minutes, so it really it sets an impression.
Yeah.
Which makes the rest of the movie maybe feel more absurd than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that scene were depicted more normally, I might have viewed the rest of the movie more normally.
That's fair. Yeah. It's very dramatic for sure in the way that it does handle all these different tragedies. But you know what I kind of like about it? What I like about it too, going back to that whole thing about like community and the importance of community, is I think that message is perfectly juxtaposed with, what is his name, Willie Jack, because that's like a person who was all about himself and like very self-serving. So as you're seeing, you know, one side of things where it's like people coming together, being kind, being respectful, being very like selfless, you're then also seeing his part of life where he's like completely selfish, completely just thinking about himself and why that doesn't work out. And I like the way they edit it in that kind of way.
That makes sense. Yeah. If you build a community, you'll be given a house for free and find love. And if
she wasn't given a house for free,
if you're all about
her loved one died.
If you're only all about yourself, you're gonna lose your legs. Your wheelchair's gonna get stolen. Your music career's gonna be down the drain. You're gonna have to get a new liver.
Like I said, it's dramatic. By all means, it's a little crazy in that aspect, but if you strip it all down,
it's
a wonderful story.
I see wonderful. Yeah, I mean it's like I said, it's meant to be feel good at the end.
Yeah,
like
at the end, yeah.
There is a happy ending.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oh man, yeah, tragedy after tragedy.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm watching a whole season of This Is Us in 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, I know I'm giving this movie like a lot of praise. I'm not saying this is a great movie. Like, this is a bad movie by all means.
I don't know if I would call it. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like, this movie does not have to be bad. It probably kind of is bad, you know?
Yeah.
But
it's not a movie I would recommend to someone. Just
right.
like be like, hey, you should watch this movie. It's like, oh, you want to see something interesting? Go watch Natalie Portman Wal-Mart baby movie.
Yeah. Like, this movie didn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's a version of this that's better.
Yeah. If they just took out some of it. It's very Lifetime movie feeling.
Right.
But if that's like what you're looking for, then it's great.
Right. Yeah, I have nothing to expand on that.
Yep.
Well, all right, run some facts by me.
I don't have a lot, so this shouldn't take too long. Hold on, I'm still on Starship Troopers. Okay, so this movie is actually based on a book by Billy Letts.
Starship Troopers was also based on a book, by the way.
Nice. And this Billy Letts, who is the author of this book, was actually inspired by a story of a woman who gave birth in a Costco. Crazy. So, that actually kind of happened.
Gotcha.
Not to Billy Letts, but to whoever this woman was who gave birth at a Costco. And apparently, I mean, I'm guessing the book is a great book because it was a part of Oprah's book club. And, you know, Oprah chooses some good ones, I think. I don't know that I've ever read books off her book club intentionally, but
you don't think she's ever been paid off to like sponsor a book?
Maybe. I don't know. But
I guess she has to like truly like it if she's going to talk about it.
Yeah. But still, I mean, from the scan of Google, it seemed like the book is a pretty decent book. Yeah.
I see. That's the thing. Like, I imagine this book wouldn't be a bad or this movie wouldn't be a bad read for a book.
And there are differences.
The movie's not good.
There are differences between the book and the movie. Gotcha. So I won't say it's a perfect 1-to-1 match.
Yeah. No, this totally has potential to be a good book.
Yeah. So that's kind of the origin of the film. Interesting fact. So for the scenes that were filmed in Wal-Mart, they had to remove a bunch of Star Wars Episode 1 merch that had Natalie Portman on it as Queen Amidala.
That's so funny.
And like, can you imagine? You're like watching the movie and you're like, is that Natalie Portman as a doll next to Natalie Portman, the human?
Well, I can't imagine Natalie Portman going from Star Wars to this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like her in it. I liked Nobly. I liked her character. I don't know. Anyways,
It's not that, like, she does a great job. It's just
Yeah.
that, like, I think she's just worth more than this movie. That's all.
okay, but also like,
She's carrying this movie on her back. Let me put it that way.
and don't come for me, Star Wars fans. I think Star Wars episodes 1 through 3 are like terrible. Like, I just don't enjoy them, and I like don't enjoy her performance in them.
I mean, that's not an uncommon sentiment from our generation, but when you watch 7, 8, and 9, it suddenly makes 1, 2, and 3 seem pretty great. Star Wars Episode 3 is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. But anyway,
No.
2 is probably one of my least favorite. 9 is definitely my least favorite. Anyway, we're not having that conversation.
Okay. You make fun of the hands touching to depict, where someone's making love.
Yeah.
Apparently this was Natalie Portman's first on-screen love scene. So they had to make it extra sweet,
Make it tender.
Make it tender and lovely.
Yeah, like, their hand, like the shot is just their hands extended above the bed, and then their fingers locked together, and you're like, oh yeah, some things are going down.
But it's like you have to depict that to show that it's like they're in love, It's not just we're sleeping together. It's we're in love.
More than just their fingers have become entwined.
Stop.
That's awesome. They're souls, babe. They're souls. Get your head out of the gutter.
I know you. Last fact, and I don't know how true this is, but apparently Joan Cusack does not appear in the television version of this movie.
That's so random.
But it is random. But I was like, why? She seems important to Willie Jack's character.
Just cut down the movie, I guess. I mean,
I cut out Sally Field.
But that's like a scene to indicate, like, not even her own mother would like love her. Whereas
so hard.
Yeah, so sorry. I'm just
not even her own mother.
I'm
would
not
love
even
her.
thinking about that. My bad. Those were just the words that defaulted out of my mouth. But I think the scenes with Joan Cusack as Willie Jack, the ex-boyfriend's music manager, like, if you take her scenes out, it's still a story of like him trying to have this music career, and then just failing at it. Like, it's kind of like the failing is like implied.
I see.
When by the time he goes and loses his legs on the train tracks, which is still so, like, I don't know, the second most insane part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
Maybe the third most insane. There's a lot of these types of moments.
Yeah. All right. 2 questions for you.
All right, go for it.
Given that I am pregnant currently, what do you think would be the worst place for me to give birth?
Well, we went and saw We Live in Time recently, and Florence Pugh gives birth in a gas station bathroom in that movie. That's definitely on the list.
I refuse. I would rather give birth on the concrete.
Like on the concrete, like
outside than to
than
be in a gas station bathroom.
Yep. See, at least in the movie, like, it seems like in Britain they keep that gas station bathrooms like a little cleaner. At least in the movie version of a gas station bathroom, a little cleaner. 'Cause I think the last gas station bathroom we went into was like it was like cartoonishly awful.
Yes.
I like couldn't breathe because there was like bleach.
At least it was bleach. It was such a tight, small.
It was
bathroom.
so tight and small. The doors were like falling off.
Oh my god, it was awful.
Yeah.
I like never want to go in there again.
It was like actually, it's kind of hilarious.
I never would have gone in there if I weren't pregnant.
Right.
But like me being pregnant, I
You had to use
cannot
the
hold
bathroom
my
all the time.
bladder. Yeah. And I have to go every 2 seconds. So like I had no choice. Like, this pregnancy is really teaching me to just like don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it, just don't touch anything. Like, because otherwise I would have been like, nope, let's find a different place. But yeah, no, I'm not giving. Oh, it was so gross.
It was so gross. So yeah, that's that bathroom in particular. I would not want to.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
no.
Was that not the question that you asked?
It was. But thinking about it, I don't want to think about it. Yuck. Okay. In this movie, who was your favorite character?
Oh, interesting. Interesting. I mean, I guess Nova Lee wasn't so bad, but
She's very nice.
yeah, I mean, she had most of the things to do in the movie. I like Keith David in anything that he's in.
He was barely in this movie.
He was barely in this movie, wasn't he? He like gives her a camera, and then once Lexi has to move in with her, she's like, "Hey, Keith David, can you watch Lexi's stuff? Can we put her stuff in your barn?" And he's like, "Okay." And then that's his last scene of the movie. But, I just like Keith David.
I think he's like her. They didn't need to give you all the context, but it's like he's her mentor in terms of like her finding her career path.
Right. Okay, here we go. I liked Sister Husband's husband. He had like 2 lines. I know, but he was like, it was just so funny that he just kind of seemed like this like regular guy that was like kind of like, nice and didn't take things too seriously. And then it was just like, sister husband admitting about the fornication on the table or whatever. And then when the twister destroyed the house, they were like, Nova Lee was like, are you sure about this? And he's like, yep, like as long as I got that table. He was like, a lot of memories with that table, and I thought that was funny.
Oh my gosh, silly, so silly. Goodness, I like Forney.
Yeah, I mean, I like Forney too. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, but I also like Sister Husband. She was just fun. Like you said, they're both of them were just like funny.
Yeah,
they were like kind of the comedic relief. As much as there could have been comedy in this movie.
Yeah. All right, got some. Do you have any other facts?
No, there wasn't much facts on this movie. So that's all that I have. Which is perfect because it's 9:21, getting late.
Oh, is it really?
It is.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to go into assignments?
Sure.
All right.
I can start us off.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I'm a little conflicted because there is a movie that feels very relevant to our upcoming plans. So we will be going on a 2-week honeymoon in Portugal.
Yep.
Starting next week. So I have a movie that's very relevant, but I do not like this movie myself.
Gotcha.
And then I could have like a not really relevant, but kind of ish that I enjoy.
Gotcha. And our next episode, if we record it this coming weekend, then it'll just be up I'll schedule it to come out Tuesday next week when we're gone. But if we don't record it before the honeymoon, then it will probably come out like December 2nd or something.
Yeah, December 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, what were you saying?
Do you want a movie that is very relevant to our upcoming plans, but I don't really like it? Or do you want a movie that I enjoy, but not as relevant?
You don't enjoy the movie that's relevant?
Yeah.
Then why would we do that?
Because it's so relevant to...
It's just some movie that takes place in Portugal?
No, it doesn't take place in Portugal.
That takes place on a honeymoon?
Yeah. It's like a honeymoon movie.
What's the other one?
The other one?
Not relevant, but you
it's
just
a
enjoy
European
it?
trip, but it's not honeymoon related.
Is it Euro Trip?
No, I've never seen that.
I've never seen that either. Well, okay, wait. Let's put a pin in that because I want to figure out mine because that might determine which one of yours I say.
Okay.
Because okay, so my pick for you, what I told you was gonna be so because we do like Christmas swap, and once we're back, we want to do we'll have two Christmas swaps that we'll have to do after this pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized like, oh, okay, anything non-Christmas, I need to do it now. And when we recorded the Sonic Adventure episode, shouts out to like episode, I don't know, 6 or 5 or whatever of the Content Swap podcast, we did that around when Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out. And I said that when Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out, that I was going to give you Sonic Adventure 2 to play because that's the game where Shadow debuts. And they were, teasing that Shadow was going to be in the new Sonic movie, which he is, voiced by Keanu Reeves. So if I'm going to give you Sonic Adventure 2, now is the time to do it. Now, are you going to enjoy it? Maybe not, but it's very relevant to what's currently, going on, right? It's like current to this season, right? Like Sonic 3's coming out and you're talking about a honeymoon movie. So we could go in that direction. But I also have a good pick that's not at all related to, what's currently going on. That's just good. So what direction do we want to take things in?
That was a lot. All I'm saying is, if you give me a video game, I'm probably only gonna play like an hour of it, because the only time I'm gonna play it is this weekend, and there's just a lot going on. So it depends on how much you want me to get out of it. Because if you're like, no, you need to play for a while, that's not happening this week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I just played Sonic Adventure 2, most of it, like 90% of it, with my buddy Ian, like month and a half, 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. And the game is really hard. Like, there are some, not necessarily like super hard, but it's like old enough and kind of punishing to a degree that I think you would really struggle with it and maybe not even like get to the shadow parts.
So that I
want you to enjoy. Like, I wanted you to see the story, but I don't think you'll actually get that from the game because you just won't get that far.
Yeah.
Even if you had like
all the time. Yeah.
I think you'd maybe struggle with that.
Yeah. And when I struggle, I get discouraged and I don't want to do it.
And then you don't want to do it. Yeah. So I'll give you a pass.
Thank goodness.
Just because there's like some really there are these levels where you play as Eggman or Tails that are just like
I hate Tails.
Really rough. Like really rough.
Got you. Because like Sonic 3 doesn't come out till Christmas
December
Eve.
20th.
Oh, December 20th. Like, and maybe it doesn't need to be an assignment. Maybe, you just had me sit down and try it. And then the next time we have content swap,
All right, that's fair. We can do that. All
Yeah.
right. We'll do the same thing with the honeymoon movie. Give me the movie that you actually care about.
Okay. Well, now I'm stuck between two other options.
What are you talking about? You didn't just have something waiting.
There was really 3. I wanted to give you a European.
You said like European trip
movie.
Yeah, where's the European trip movie?
Okay, but now there's another option that's a European.
What?
I'll give you the original that I was going to give you.
What's the other option?
The other option's a romance movie in the UK.
It doesn't sound interesting.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to assign you Leap Year.
Oh.
Don't you say it like that.
Is that
like
Jennifer
that
Garner?
No. It's Amy Adams.
Yeah, worse.
I like Leap Year.
I like Jennifer Garner.
It's still
I was excited when I thought this was a Jennifer Garner movie.
No, it's still wedding related. It's about a proposal in Ireland.
Amy Adams does have red hair.
Yeah.
like an Irish person would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. I think it's cute and fun.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah, we
Do you
will
want me to
do
tell
that.
you the one that's not really? Because I'm never
Yes.
going to sign it again. Because, like,
The honeymoon one?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it?
Just Married with Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy.
Oh, that's like a bad movie.
I hate it.
That's like a bad movie.
I hate it, but it was so
I caught
perfect.
I caught like one scene and was like, this movie sucks.
It was terrible.
Yeah. No,
but
I'm glad we're not doing that.
Yeah, it was so perfect though, because it was like they just got married, they're going on the
Yeah,
honeymoon, they go to Europe. So
yeah. Well, what's the third movie?
Notting Hill.
See, I've never seen that.
Well, you said it sounds boring.
Well, my bad. I've never seen. Can we do that one? I really want to do that one because my mom really liked that movie growing up.
It's a cute movie.
Yeah, my mom like watched it a bunch of times.
Since you're not making me play Sonic, we can do Notting Hill. But Leap Year is a really cute movie.
That's
just saying.
Nice. And
wasn't it a leap year this year?
2024. Yeah, every 4 years.
See? It's more relevant than I thought.
Well, it would have been better back then.
I think I was going to assign it, but then I don't know.
You forgot?
I think I forgot.
I would much rather watch Notting Hill. I think Notting Hill would be great.
All right, we'll do Notting Hill.
I'm like jubilated at this news.
Jubilated?
Yes. Jubilated. Believe it. Okay. So since I'm not doing Sonic Adventure 2, I'm going to give you Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like a movie.
Yes, it is a Leica movie. Yeah, that's the name. I was like, what? I thought you were saying I like and then you're gonna like a movie like that, or there's anyway. Yes, Studio. This is called Leica.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a Leica movie.
Awesome.
It's a great movie.
Cool.
All right, so next week we will have Notting Hill and Kubo and the Two Strings. See how much better that came out? Yeah, that's great. That's much better. All right, we'll look forward to that, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.